In this episode of the Midlife Mentors podcast, we give a highly impassioned discussion around taking responsibility for our lives. At some point, we need to be prepared to look at where we're holding ourselves back.
It's not to say that we shouldn't be compassionate with ourselves for what we might have endured in the past, but at some point we need to decide if this will define us for the rest of our lives. Constantly looking in the rearview mirror will never help us move forward, and at the end of the day, it's only us that can make the necessary changes.
Hi, I'm James Davis.
And I'm Claire Davis.
We're the Midlife Mentors, here to lift the lid on how to achieve health and happiness.
The balanced, no-nonsense way.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Midlife Mentors with me, James.
And me, Claire. I wonder if I should start it one time.
Well, why don't you?
I should say, hello, welcome to the Midlife Mentors podcast. It's me, Claire. And then you
And
can
me,
say...
James.
Oh, I will do it one day. We've only been going for 3 years and I've never actually started a podcast.
What do we see? We got our Spotify Unwrapped things. So Spotify send you like all these stats about your podcast, which
should I read them out?
quite fantastic.
Hang
But we've
on.
done in the last year alone, like what was it? Like well over 1,000 minutes of content, which is quite staggering.
1,070 to be precise. And we're in the top 10 most followed podcasts. We're in 52 countries. And our podcast was in the top 10 most shared globally. Whoop, whoop.
But obviously, we'd love to increase that. So if you are listening and you are loving it, we've got a favour to ask. Give us a 5-star rating. If you feel like it, write us a review. But definitely share it. Let more people know about it.
Yeah, please do, because we have actually been approached for sponsorship. I know we're not massive out there in the world of podcasts, but we're pretty big, and we have been approached for sponsorship. We don't run ads for it. We don't run ads on it, because we hate listening to things and being interrupted. So there's no way we were ever going to do that to our listeners. So we don't profit from it. We do this all for free. We give you our heart and soul and all of our knowledge and expertise for free. So if you find it funny, if you find our banter funny, if you find it educates you and brings some awareness to your midlife, do, as James said, we would really, really appreciate you giving us a review or sharing it with your friends and family and anyone else you think might benefit.
Hold on a sec, Claire, because I just got this message from our sponsor. Ding, 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 ding.
Can you imagine having to do that?
Spread the love with peri-menopause pies. Other pies are available.
Those for years.
Oh, I lived on those as a student. There was a pie in
no,
a tin.
you didn't. Let's be honest.
And you had to take the lid off the tin and put it in the oven. It got a big puff pastry
But then
top.
you just lived off salads as
And
well.
baked beans, yeah.
Salads, baked beans, and I can't even say it now.
But no, on a serious note, we don't have sponsorship. We don't have adverts.
No,
so
because
please
it's annoying.
Please do like and share.
Yeah,
so
please do.
For free.
Yeah, exactly. So today we got up and went for a nice, lovely swim. We're over in Ibiza, so it's been raining a lot here in Ibiza. This is not what we signed up for.
Massive thunderstorm. Was it last night or the night before?
Night before, because I went for a run. I'd promised, so this is all about discipline, right? So we did a podcast on discipline last week. But the discipline I had of going out in the hammering down rain to do a 7k run the other day, I even surprised myself.
You were amazing. She came back like a drowned rat. I actually sent her a WhatsApp going, "Are you okay?" Because I could just see it sheeting down.
I mean, it really was.
Then
It flooded.
Dripping spectral figure appeared out of the gloom.
But I was on a runner's high. I mean, people thought I was mad because there was no one else out, but the people that did see me looked at me as if I was mental, running around with a big smile on my face. I was like, well, I'm wet now. I might as well just carry on running. But it was great. But yeah, we went for a swim this morning. The sea is much warmer than Hampstead Heath Ponds, let us tell you. But yeah, we're just settling in.
Yeah. So we're going to talk to you about a tricky topic today, taking responsibility.
Well, yeah,
it's not tricky, really. It's not tricky at all. Claire did a post on this earlier in the week, and loads of people chimed in, like giving her support, but also she's got some naysayers kind of trying to tear it down.
Well, I did take it down in the end, actually, because I just thought, if this is, my intention is never, if anyone has listened to this podcast long enough, if this is your first podcast that you're listening to, you might not know this, but I never want to upset anyone. I never want to hurt anyone's feelings. It's not my intention. But at the same time, James and I are both about giving people reality checks and saying the hard things that no one else says in order to help you become the best version of yourself and live an extraordinary life, right? So my posts hit a nerve with some people, and one of the things that I found really funny, I found a little quote the day after saying everyone loves a truthful person until it hits a nerve, and you tell a truth that they're not ready to hear. And the truth is that we have to, in order to change our lives, we have to take responsibility for our lives.
Exactly that. Listen, it's really, really tempting to devolve responsibility, right? To blame external circumstances, to blame something in your past, to blame the world, to blame the economy, all these things. And yes, we're not saying that all these things can't play a role, but it's whether you want to let them have a commanding role or whether you just let them have a bit part and you actually make a decision to take control and take command. Because here's the thing, like, once you take responsibility for your own life, then that's tremendously empowering. You can move forward. And that doesn't mean, I think Sylvester Stallone said this on the Rocky films. He said, if you know what you're worth, then go out and get what you're worth. But you've got to be prepared to take the hits. Don't be blaming it on him, on her, on life, on all these things. You've basically got to take responsibility and go out and do it for yourself. And
I think this comes about, here's the thing, to caveat this, right, we're not saying that trauma doesn't exist, right? Everyone, I think by the time we hit midlife, everyone has had trauma to varying degrees, and it is not a competition, right? And I'm not saying, neither James and I are saying at all here, that we don't need to be gentle with ourselves, that we don't need to be compassionate with ourselves, that we don't need to have healing. My gosh, I have had so much therapy you could shake a stick at. I've spent thousands on healing bits of my trauma, and I know James might mind me sharing that he does too, and we both still are growing into ourselves, in the sense of like leaving that kind of stuff behind that caused us so much trauma in our past, and still has an impact on us, right? Of course it does. And we're not saying that's not justified, and we're not saying that everyone wakes up one morning with loads of self-belief and self-worth. We're not saying that. What my post is saying, and what we want to say in this podcast is it going to continue to define you for the rest of our life, of your life? We can learn, there's something called learnt helplessness. And we can get locked into that learnt helplessness and this victim mentality that is now almost heralded in our social media world. We can get stuck in that, and we can kind of perpetuate that over and over and over and over again, until we really believe that we are stuck, that we have no responsibility, that we have no power, that we've lost our power to our circumstances, and we haven't. There has to come a point where we face our life the way it is, and we have to choose to do it differently.
That's beautifully said. Beautifully said. I think the frustration for us, we meet so many people, and we speak to so many people, but very often we come across people that are just stuck but won't take the next step. But then when they won't take the next step, it's because they're afraid to start taking responsibility for it. They'll pick an external factor. They've got this thing going on. They've got that thing going on. Here's the truth. Everyone has stuff going on, stuff in inverted commas. I was listening to a speech that Arnold Schwarzenegger gave a while back, actually, and it was actually really inspiring. People forget, he was a 15-year-old kid with no English, and he got himself to America and trained to become, Mr. Universe. Went to go into movies, talking about trying to get into movies, and like every agent laughing at him, saying, "No, you'll never be a leading man in movies." And he went on to be the governor of California, which is basically the highest office that he could hold, not being born a US citizen. And he was saying when he got there, he said, people tell me all these excuses all the time. He said, when I got to America, I knew what I wanted to do. Yeah. So I spent 5 hours a day in the gym. I was working 12-hour days on a construction site. Then I was taking acting classes from 8:30 till half midnight, and then sleeping when I could, because I had the vision and the goal to do it. And we're not going to let external factors stop me. And if you think about that, that's an amazing story. That's an amazing story of an immigrant that's come to a country without speaking the language, with kind of nothing to support them, and they've ended up being a multi-millionaire movie star and a governor of I think it's third largest economy in the world, California or something like that.
And I think that is, James and I give a lot away for free. We give, so we support people all the time. We do free consultation calls with people. We do free workshops. We do free mini courses. We give a lot of our expertise now because we know that not everyone can afford the time, the money, the investment. We know these things, which is why we passionately give people the tools and the knowledge to start changing their midlife so you become healthier and happier, right? We do that a lot. But when people constantly consume all of that stuff, then they come to you and say, my life still isn't changing. And they're making all these excuses about why they can't take the next step. It does frustrate us. It does. And we get it, right? Because not everyone has that self-belief and self-trust. But do you think that James and I have always had that belief and self-trust in ourselves? No. I've had such little confidence in my life. I didn't wake up believing in myself.
Same, me too.
I had absolutely zero confidence. I had absolutely zero self-belief because life trod me down. I had people telling me in my life that I was no good. Like everyone else that's probably listening to this podcast, we all understand how that feels to be told that we're nothing, that we're never going to amount to anything. We've had awful things happen to us that make us doubt ourselves, but we haven't given up on ourselves. And we have reached out and done the things necessary and moved through some of our excuses. Listen, I still make tons of excuses, right? There are elements of me, I hold my hands up and look at myself and go, where am I playing the victim there? Where am I not being my best self there? Where am I saying that external factor has an influence on what I'm doing with my life? I look at myself and ask myself those questions. So I know how it feels, but we didn't just wake up with this self-worth and self-belief. We've had to make it for ourselves.
Listen, here is the tough love message, right? If you see someone out there that's achieving something, if someone else is doing it or has done it, that means you can too. What is stopping you is you. You're standing in your own way by the story that you're telling yourself about you. So I'm not saying this stuff is easy because it's not. It's
so hard.
It's hard. And most people are going to need help with that, right?
But
it's about reinventing yourself, telling a new story that actually empowers you, enables you to get to where you want to go, right? If you're stuck and you're telling yourself a story that's keeping you stuck, how is that helping you? Yes, that's comfortable, right? This comes back to the role of subconscious. It's like, I can't achieve this, I can't do that thing because of reason X, reason Y. That's a comfort blanket for you. How about if you throw that comfort blanket off and you go, you know what? I've got X and I've got Y, but I'm going to go for this thing anyway. I know it's only my fear holding me back, and all I have, if I fail, in inverted commas, failure is not permanent unless you give up. If you fail, you try again, try a different way. Sometimes we just haven't found the right way to achieve the thing yet. It doesn't mean we should stop trying.
And I would question, because I just said we all do this, I would question where you are making those excuses and where you might be keeping yourself stuck from moving forward. Because we've just launched a new 21-day vision and vitality course. It starts tomorrow, and we're really excited about it. But obviously, we had lots of people interested. We've got loads of people on it, but some people, and it's okay. It's okay. We're not sitting here in judgment. All we're saying is we can tell when someone is making an excuse for a story that they are telling themselves, and it probably is because they don't trust themselves enough or they have enough self-belief. But like I said, we all start there. We all have to wonder whether we're learning helplessness here or whether we are going to look at ourselves square in the mirror and go, am I actually being really super honest with myself right now? Is that the truth? Is it the truth? Is that the reason I've said that I can't do something? Is that really the truth? Is there someone, like James has said, is there someone that's done that before? Is there someone that's done that before in worse circumstances, with probably worse situations, a lack of resources, more trauma than I have right now, that has managed to really move through this? If there is, then it's possible. It is possible. It's possible. So just looking at yourself in the mirror going, is that really, really true? Where am I holding myself back with the story I'm telling myself right now?
Exactly. I would say, we've kind of delivered the tough love message there, but here's how you go about making positive changes, right? First of all, you have to be brutally honest with yourself. You know, where are you making excuses for yourself? And yet, many people have absolutely 100% valid excuses, but it's whether you let that excuse define you and hinder your growth or not. Whether you go, you know what, I've got that going on, I've got that in my past, but anyway, I'm going to push forward and do this thing.
Some terrible things have happened to people, and we get that.
Yeah, we get that. So the first step, be honest with yourself. Be honest with yourself. And then once you're honest, you know what's holding you back. Set a vision, set a goal, know what you're going for, and start to change the story. And you know, it's going to start by just building a little bit of self-belief. So don't try and achieve something massive. Just take small steps, build your confidence over time. And, you know, it just takes those small steps to build it and you will get there. But it's about changing the story, taking this. I can't tell you what freedom and empowerment is on the other side of that.
And surrounding yourself with people that lift you up, right? Surrounding yourself with the right people. James and I have spent hundreds of thousands on mentors and people, and separately before I even got together with James, but together we have spent a fortune and never have regretted it on putting ourselves in the circle of influence, the circle of people that have achieved the things that we want to achieve, so we feel a sense of like duty and inspiration to move ourselves towards that. You're seeing what success looks like right in front of you. You're in that community, you're part of it, and you automatically start seeing the steps that they've taken, and by osmosis you're starting to have that self-belief because you can see what's possible. So surround yourself with the right people as well. It's so important that you do that, and have those people that believe in you, you know, not fake honesty and fake belief, but people that truly believe in you. And I know that every single person that makes that brave, courageous step to join us in anything that we do, any paid programs we do, you know, yes, any of the free stuff, but any paid stuff, when you've got some skin in the game, right? You've put your money where your mouth is, you've got skin in the game. Anyone that does that, we salute and we hold that space for them, and we love them so much, because they have had the bravery and courage to step forward, and now we can hold their hand and show them the way. But it needs to be that person that takes that first step and is brutally honest with themselves about the excuses they have been making for themselves.
Yeah. There's things we say, ignore the naysayers, right? But sometimes the strongest naysayer can actually be yourself. It can be that internal voice. But, you know, that voice is not real. Just to tell you that. It's just a thought. It's just a construct. It's just your subconscious trying to keep you in a, inverted commas, safe place. Yeah. But safe does not always equal growth. In fact, very rarely. So, you know, people are changing their lives all the time. Which means that you can too.
And some of the people that have had the most adversity, the most challenging circumstances, it makes their success even more powerful and even brighter, and even just what some of the people that we see come onto our programs that have really stretched themselves. I did a post about this. This is still up. I did a post about this the other. Those ones that have really stretched themselves, and you know, it didn't come easy financially, time-wise, priority-wise. It didn't come easy for them. They're overcoming trauma. They're overcoming divorces. They're overcoming so much stuff. Those people, actually, when the skin is in the game at its hardest, they're the ones that you often see have the greatest level of transformation and success and change. And it's bedded in them forever then. It's often the people that have had the most adversity and the biggest challenges that reap the biggest rewards.
Exactly. Well, when we're challenged, then we learn and grow, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So,
I think that wraps it up. Listen, what we would love you to do is just be honest with yourself. If you've got a goal, if you've got something you want to achieve, but you haven't stepped forward to do it yet, be honest with yourself about why that is. Be honest with yourself about excuses you might be making for yourself. And commit to telling yourself a different story.
And surround yourself with the right people.
Surround
yourself with the right people. It is life-changing. It is transformational, having those mentors and coaches or whatever. Groups, communities, free communities, anything. Just get yourself in the right place with the right people.
Listen, even listening to like podcasts like this, like ours, like many other motivational podcasts out there, we do it every day.
Every day
we're in the gym and we're listening to stuff that motivates us. You know, so
fill your brain with the right stuff.
Feed yourself the right information
with the possibility, not lack, but with possibility. Feed your brain with what an extraordinary opportunity this life is. rather than what has been. Stop looking in the rearview mirror and start looking forward at where you have your potential, and you have so much potential. We believe in every single one of you listening to this. We really, really do. We believe in you, and sometimes you just need to borrow belief, and that's why it's really important to be part of a community, because that's what we do. We believe in every single person that we have the pleasure of being on our programs. So that's it. Very impassioned this week. Really, really triggered by obviously the post that I did, and conversations that James and I have on a frequent daily basis. So we're sending you so much love. Please remember to rate this podcast, share this podcast with people that you know will find this inspiring and helpful, and we hope that you did too. And
sending you so much love. Till the next one.
Big hugs. Bye.
Yeah.
You've been listening to the Midlife Mentors with Claire and James Davis.
We'd love to hear from you. So drop us a line at info@themidlifementors.com with any questions or topic suggestions.
And make sure you join us on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. You can find us under the Midlife Mentors.
Yeah.